Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Advanced Persistent Threat and Cybersecurity Group LinkedIn Live event. I'm your host, Aaron Stillwell, joined by my co-host, Alex Mavro, Security Manager at Jetronics and former CISO at PNB Paribas. Together, we bring you in-depth discussions with top experts shaping the future of cybersecurity. Today, we're diving deep into the hidden layers of the internet, the part most people never see, but where cyber criminals, nation state actors, and threat operators work in the shadows. To help us navigate this complex and often misunderstood world, we're joined by an expert in the field of dark web research and cyber threat intelligence. Reza Abasi is a seasoned cybersecurity expert with extensive experience in tracking threat actors across the underground web, identifying emerging threats, and translating raw data into actionable intelligence. His work bridges the gap between the visibility of hidden, helping organizations stay one step ahead of cyber threats. Whether it's monitoring illicit marketplaces, engaging with threat communities, or analyzing the ever evolving tactics of cybercrime, Reza brings a rare mix of technical expertise and operational insight. Today he's here to share his journey, his methods, and what every security professional should know about the dark corners of the internet. Reza, welcome to the show.
Thank you, everyone. As you introduced today, we are planning to go through the different somehow aspects that I check maybe a couple of times per day about this dark web and this basically resources that are needed for threat intelligence and cybercrime and this threat
Awesome.
actors.
Reza, thank you. Alex, thank you so much too. Again, like always.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. So let's start off, Reza, let's kind of asking a little bit about your background and kind of how you got involved with the dark web research and CTI.
Mhm. Yeah, so I came to Finland for furthering my education for Master of Information Security, this cyber security, network security. I think 4 months, I was able to join a company that was basically monitoring dark web and deep web for data breaches, data leaks, and cyber crimes. Uh, I have worked for the same company for almost 6 years. So during these 6 years, I have, on a daily basis, was involved in these dark web forums, and it is not actually just limited to the dark web forums. Even sometimes Telegram or pastebin sites was used by the threat actors. So I also focused because my master thesis was about the use cases of Google Dorks, which are basically the advanced searching techniques used on Google in cybersecurity. So I have already registered 270 something, 76, I think, on ExploitDB, the GHDB, which stands for Google Hacking Database, these advanced techniques. And I have recently created a couple of posts regarding those techniques. So basically, yeah, that is the thing that I'm more or less during the day involved in checking what is going on dark web and what are the threat actors doing.
Thank you.
Okay, that
What
is it.
what kind of drew your interest into kind of going into the dark web and starting to see kind of this relevance into cybersecurity?
I would say this is somehow trending nowadays that day in day out you hear about all the cyber incidents like hacking, defacement, data breaches, what is going on dark web. And to be honest, I also had this kind of mindset of doing investigation. So I would highly recommend anyone that is interested in doing investigation. That is very interesting thing, especially when you are able to connecting the dots and finding the sometimes real identity of the threat actors or what is going on dark and deep web, because on the surface web basically you don't see damage crimes. But if you going a little bit deeper, then you will see that there is a different, somehow I can say, world. So that is mainly my main area to what well made me interested into this.
I
Yeah,
have a question, Reza.
yeah. So Alex probably has a million I know questions for
Oh
you.
yeah, yeah. I have a question. We have, let's say, we have the topic is dark web, of course. You have mentioned about deep web and surface web. I have a question. What is a dark web, and how does it differ from the deep web and surface web?
Yeah, actually, this is a good question because this is very common. Different companies and researchers have different like definitions for these things, but basically, technically, it is somehow in general considered that the clear web is the part that you can easily browse. You
Yeah.
don't need a specific software. Deep web is the part that is like you can browse, but there is like when you accessing your bank account, then you need some authentication that like Google or other search engines basically cannot crawl that content. And the dark web is mainly considered in general as the part of the web that you need like Tor browser but or like other software to access. But nowadays I have seen a video that they explain in a better way that wherever that you can find something that could be used bringing some intelligence for you, it is considered as dark web. Because nowadays we are seeing, for example, Telegram is
Yeah.
very widely used by threat actors. Even
Correct.
there are, if you check in my latest posts, I wrote, I think in the recent months, two posts about the Telegram channels that's sharing and selling the info stealers. So
Yeah.
basically, that I can consider it as a dark web also because they are selling something illicit or even sharing it. So you don't need any specific, well, just Telegram, you have account and you can easily access it if you know how to find it. Yeah. So these concepts are nowadays, I think, somehow is different from the traditional definition. So yeah.
Besides of Telegram, what other tools and techniques are used to access and research the dark web?
Yeah, so in general, well, there are lots of ransomware leak sites and marketplaces that are running on Tor. So onion sites, for that you need in general to have a Tor browser.
Yeah.
And well, Telegram, I would say that it's also getting more popularity. But the thing is that from time to time, the threat actors kind of migrating from different platforms. So before Twitter or X was somehow popular, but I think they kind of raised their barriers to kind of monitoring and removing the accounts. It's not that much popular, but still there are some threat actors that are active on Twitter or X. Telegram also, I have seen in my presentation, we will face it, that TamTam Chat, which was a platform more popular 2 years ago, was used by jihadist groups. So it's not that much nowadays, as far as I know. Matrix, Riot Chat, well, there are different platforms, but yeah, it depends on the threat actors and how the law enforcement try to focus on that platform. As soon as like there is more concentration on that platform, they're migrating to new platforms. So you need to kind of be aware and following where they are moving and going.
When you speak about platforms, you are speaking about marketplaces or something else?
Basically, marketplaces are somehow different. By platforms, I mean like Telegram, if we consider it
Ah,
as a
okay.
yeah.
Okay. So you're referring specific to some, let's say, social media
Exactly.
platforms. Okay, I
Exactly.
got it.
Yeah.
And who are the prominent threat actors operating on the dark web? No, you don't have to say all of them. There are a few of them, I suppose, or maybe there are less. I don't know. I'm asking because you are more expert. I'm not working in the field. I hear so very often a lot of factors like APT or any others, like UAC, for example, as well, and so on.
Well, APT groups are, as far as I know, mainly try to stay like hidden.
Hmm.
So it's because most of them are connected to the nations, so
Yeah.
they are try to remain stealthy. But there is actually a big ecosystem down there. You can buy, I don't know, passports. You can buy credit cards, fake bank accounts, fake banknotes. You can buy data breaches, data leaks. You can buy drugs. You can buy gun. It's like there are marketplaces. There are auto buy shops. There are, well, many things out there.
To be
Well,
honest, it looks like in the movies with the black market.
yeah, yeah.
It almost seems like the Wild Wild West.
Yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly. I remember of those kind of movies.
How quickly, Reza, have you seen when you talk about they migrate quickly, right? They change because do accounts get taken down and then you got to follow them quickly, or how does that kind of work out?
Yeah, I think sometimes the news kind of could be effective. Was it, I think, last year that Pavel Dorf was arrested in France? Then I
Yeah.
personally faced that there was a high migration to other platforms. But when the things get a bit relaxed, and again, I faced that they're getting back to the Telegram because, to be honest, I think many people agree with this that Telegram actually brought a very comfortable platform, very kind of unique platform
Yeah,
in this sense that you can easily create a group, you can create a channel sharing. I think you can upload by the free version to 5 gigabytes of the files, which is somehow, I would say, comparing to other platforms, is somehow different. But yeah, I think this whenever there is concentration on investigating that platform, then there is this wave of migrating to other platforms. This is what I understood.
How do threat actors on dark web communicate and operate? Is it secured or is it they are using different path? I don't know.
For instance, if I explain about what is happening on breach forums, that
Hmm.
is one of the popular forums. They have a discussion boards. They can you can contact them. They also share maybe their signals, their tax ID. So they have different methods for communicating among themselves. They also have kind of the hierarchy. So there is owner of the forum, there are admins, moderators. Then based on your reputation or a score that you gain in that forum, that you can buy it or you can like sharing some breaches. You will be a God member, you will be a VIP, MVP member. So there is somehow a hierarchy, and there is of course communication in that platform aside from the other platforms, like, as I said, tags or signal, matrix, telegram mostly.
I see.
yeah. So I do have a question. How do you distinguish between kind of like valuable, really good intelligence and the noise and kind of deception you see in the dark web data?
uh, of course there is always like scammers even among the threat actors. But the thing is that at least like on dark web forums, there is this reputation system. So they have this moderator systems or escrow systems. And of course, there are some reputable members that they are always trusted members. I mean, there is basically, I can say, zero scam. So basically, everyone trusts them. They also have like a trust system among themselves. But of course, there is like exit scam among the marketplaces. which are less known or even sometimes the known ones. But this is like, as the whole thing is like illicit and illegal, then you cannot basically go to the police or law enforcement and saying that this
Yeah,
threat
I'm getting ripped off buying stolen goods from my thief. That doesn't work out
exactly.
too well for you.
Yeah.
I can imagine.
How can an organization monitor the dark web for data leaks or threats? Even though, I mean, sometimes there are threats where they are threatening, for example, a VP of a company, or even, let's say, a CEO, or even sometimes the entire branch, for example.
Mm. Actually, there is less like this trending approach of proactive monitoring.
Hmm.
That is like there are companies, like big and small companies, that are getting the whole resources kind of, not the whole, but as much as they can of the resources that the threat actors are active, and crawling the content of them like regularly, maybe a couple of times per day. So they have this notification system that when you are getting a client of that company, as they have almost the majority of the data from these dark web resources, then you will get notification whether your assets or your website or whatever that you presenting to them has been promoted on their like cybercrime platforms. Then in that sense you will be informed that okay, we are going to facing a potential threat. For example,
Yes.
about this like ransomware sites,
Yeah.
one of the key methods to get access to the whole network is to buying the initial access. So these initial access brokers are quite active on dark web forums and selling the access to the networks. If you are a member, like a subscriber of these companies that doing the monitoring or crawling the content of dark web, you will be informed that okay, your company's access are going to be sold on this dark web forum, and you can like kind of reacting or in a proactive manner to this threat.
I see. And in terms of trends, the cyber, sorry, in terms of trends, what are the latest trends in cyber criminal activity on the dark web?
Yeah, based on my understanding, like this ransomware is getting more and more trending.
I mean, I'm talking about, let's say, according to the last 2, 3 years, what's
Mm.
happening in online, not
Yeah,
what it was, let's say, 5 years ago or 10 years
yeah.
ago, because I know very well that the things have been changed a lot.
Mm.
We see very often frauds, for example, on the banking sector or financial sector. We see a lot of scams, as you mentioned, for the different kind of companies. We see very often other things in regards with, let's say, maybe some threat actors that have access to the OT part and so on.
Yeah, I think still this ransomware is getting more trendy because like there are, I think I read somewhere that almost 70% of the cyber attacks happening by phishing.
Yeah, true.
And the thing is that like one of the initial methods to getting access to the networks of the company is through phishing. So still, it should be not that much complicated getting. Of course, the companies have also their defensive methods, but still, I would say ransomware is more demanding and trending nowadays. Maybe
Yeah.
even in future. Yeah.
So I do have a question. How, if someone's starting off this within their organization, how do they kind of safely conduct research without, compromising the operational security within the organization?
So we are like asking from the.
Yeah. So say if someone within their organization, they want to start doing dark web research, they're a security engineer. security researcher and they want to start doing dark web research themselves. But how do they conduct that research? Obviously, securely, without without endangering their own organization. Obviously,
Mm. Actually, it is like mm, basically you need to have a separate system that is just assigned to doing the research, and any account on that system shouldn't be connected to your or your company's identity. So you shouldn't use like the phone number that you are using for your personal use or the email address. Then, VPN is also, you should use VPN, preferably not the open or like free versions, because the paid versions always have better features. I recently come across training about this, how to like doing investigation on dark web. So there is an add-on that even Chrome has it, like Privacy Badger. That basically what this add-on is doing is to stop any tracker when you are browsing the website, because many of these cyber criminal or dark web forums or websites are able to set tracker to track who is checking their website.
yeah.
Like, so I would highly recommend using that. Of course, using Tor browser and there these are like the common things that should be used for them.
So,
Basically,
okay. So running
try
Tor
to
and a
avoid,
separate
yeah,
VM.
yeah, exactly. VPN, a separate system, and do not use email or I don't know phone number or whatever that is connected to your company or your personal use. Yeah.
Someone just posted here, Andrew Hader. Thank you, buddy. I'm gonna post it real quick here. He mentions about how I ever Sam Bent's website, which tracks some good information on the onion. Have you ever seen this before?
Yeah. I think, yeah, of course, I'm checking the Sam Bent posts from time to time. I think his website I also have seen, but I know that Sam is very actually doing very spectacular job in that department.
Okay, good. And then Andrew asks, do you recommend using a fully separate VM as well?
Yeah, of course, better to use the VM, but if I remember correctly, still there's possibility that they map the VM to the like guest machine. So the best option is to have a separate machine.
Yeah,
Of course, VM could be somehow a layer of security, but it's not like fully just like, for example, if you install a VM on your personal machine that you have many things on it, and you say that, okay, now I'm safe. It's not like this.
yeah. I guess it sounds like different devices is the way to
Mm.
go.
Yeah,
Even if you're running, say, Kali on the back end,
yeah.
there's still maybe some connection. I mean, I could be wrong, Alex, or you guys could explain to me, but there might be some connection to where you're running the risk.
It depends how you have that infrastructure and how you find it. Because, for example, if Kali is in the same infrastructure is okay. If it's separated, should be separated from my point of view.
Yeah, yeah,
Is also fine, but it depends how you have that, and then you have different type. For example, when you do pen testing, you have the different types of pen testing. You have the low level, and then you have the high level. The high level is in terms of scope, it's everything. The low level, it's specific. It depends what you want to collect and from where you want to collect that info.
yeah.
I know of these things because I've been as a CISO in a bank before, in BNP Paribas, in fact. And I remember at that time we had low level and high level. And for high level, it was tough because over there you can discover a lot of things.
Yeah.
But when you do for low level, it's different because you have some specific, you target that specific thing, but you might see other things related to others because you identified an application that it's interconnected to other devices or different, let's say, layers.
So another LinkedIn user asked, he asked here, and I'm gonna actually put this up. This is actually some good questions, right? Points to threat engagement as part of the TI investigation.
So I didn't get what.
Does that make sense?
Few interesting points in threat actor engagement as
Yeah.
part of the threat intelligence investigation. This is what he mentioned in the
Yes.
question.
So the question is not that much clear for me. If it's possible
It's
to explain more detail.
I think what we'll do now is now this is great. I love everybody asking the questions as we're moving this forward. Alex, did you have any more specific questions before we kind of go into the
Yeah, I have one question. Is in fact about the legal and ethical considerations and what are the legal risks associated with conducting dark web research? It is allowed? It's for example, you are working in a company, you are doing this. It is allowed to look on some dark web things based to the law enforced in that country or not? You know, there are countries maybe that they are not allowed to do that thing.
Yeah, actually, I'm not like
Uh,
law, but I would say it may be different from country to country.
mhm.
But basically, I would say anything related to CSAM, like child sexual abuse, could be in majority of the countries like illegal.
Yeah,
Reposting data breaches and data leaks in some countries also considered illicit and illegal. So I would say better to stay on the safe side and do not risking, because like many materials, this is basically dark web, and if you try to repost, reshare, or even in some countries, if you by chance have some like see some photos or videos, maybe it could be problematic for you. So
yeah,
yeah.
and this is probably a good point that we should say to everybody before you start end up doing this. Um, you should be very careful about what you're accessing.
yeah, yeah,
You know,
exactly.
because the legal implications, obviously, of doing this, especially at your work, could get you in a lot of trouble. Also at home. So before you do any of this, please do a little bit of research on the legality of it. So I had someone ask some questions here. Let me go here. Um, he has two questions. What are some unconventional OSINT techniques you've used to correlate dark web activity with real world breaches that aren't widely discussed?
When it comes to actually the OSINT techniques, I would say I personally never rely on any specific OSINT tool or website, because these resources are coming and going, and in my opinion, they maybe have some issues, because they basically use the APIs as far as I know, and maybe they are not able to extract all the data. I always try to do investigation like manually and using different search engines, because as far as I know, some investigators just focus on a specific like search engine like Google, but I personally try to search the same thing on Google, Yandex, Bing, DuckDuckGo, because in some cases the findings are different. So something that is indexed by Google maybe is not indexed by Bing, and vice versa. Something that is like indexed by Yandex is not indexed by Bing or Google. So better to, of course, when doing investigation, you will come across the different tools and uh, yeah, but it's better not to, in my opinion, rely on any specific tool,
Okay.
because if you lose that tool, or if the tool is going down, then you lose your resource.
Okay. And then he had another question. It said, beyond monitoring, how can organizations proactively poison or disrupt their own leaked data on dark web markets to mislead threat actors? And is that even possible?
I'm not sure about that, but I think that in some cases, some companies have kind of like honeypot thing to check whether they're going to be targeted by threat actors.
Indeed, you're right.
Yeah, so they may be intentionally leaving some vulnerability on their assets and
In
to
order to
check.
catch, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, because that seems more of a question towards you going beyond defense to offensive techniques,
Mhm.
and then you run. I would think you run maybe into legality issues. Maybe at that point when you start doing offensive for that way. Um, so, say someone here. I do have a question concerning gaining reputation on forums, and some forums won't accept account creation other than their country, where VPN seems hard to acquire. How do you overcome these?
So is the question
Here, I'll post it up real quick for you. So,
there? Okay.
I guess a question around the VPN and accessing within their own country and and then doing VPN access.
Yeah, actually, some of the forums are open for registering for a while, and after that, you need to have someone in that forum. That is actually a good question because I personally couldn't find solution for those cases because if they don't accept, then maybe you can change your VPN location, or if it's like a closed forum, then basically you cannot access. Genesis market, if I remember correctly, or Russian market, for a while, the person that wants to join need to buy like account or pay for the account, and I'm not sure if it's legal for or ethical. So this is kind of could be based on case by case, could be different solutions for it. But this is one of the challenges together with this like capture things for the companies because some of this is another thing that some of the marketplaces or websites have very complicated captchas and codes cannot easily bypass the captcha. So I found these two as like the main challenges for this
Okay, good.
getting access to these forums.
I want to thank everybody who's on. We're getting a lot of great questions. This is fantastic. We usually sometimes don't get this many, but I guess this is a topic everyone wants to hear about. So we definitely do. So Reza has a presentation that he's not going to go over. A presentation that he has. He's going to show an example of the threat research he has done. Me and Alex are going to be keeping an eye on the
Yeah.
questions. So please keep them coming. And what we'll do is we'll let Reza do his presentation, and then we'll stop him as it goes, and then we'll go through the questions that way, if that's okay with everyone. All right, Reza. Whenever you're all set, what I'll do is you could share your presentation and kind of go through with that. All right, I'm showing on the screen, and then I think there you go. If you just want to do full screen on that, yep, I think we're good to go.
Yeah. So on this presentation, I will briefly explain about the different resources that is used for getting or acquisition of the data that is used for this monitoring dark web and deep web. The first and most important resource is basically the dark web forums, shady forums, or underground forums. It includes like hacking forums, carding forums, marketplaces, and more. Some examples, of course, this breach that we see is like SAIS, but the others like Sinisterly, Null.io was also SAIS, but these are some examples of the forums. So basically, many of the companies try to find as much as these forums to crawl the content of them. XSS, exploit, breach forums are, I would say, nowadays, and RAMP are nowadays the most important ones in this sense. But apart from that, there is like pasting services. So many of you maybe have heard about Pastebin, but Pastebin is not the only pasting service that threat actors using for sharing their materials. Uh, Mostly they share like credentials, credit card information. I have also noticed that like these jihadist and extremist groups also using pasting to share their materials. I have mentioned a couple of pasting services here that I find personally, and this is an example of a paste like just paste.it that they have shared credentials.
Oh, Alex, GoDaddy accounts.
Yeah. So this like NodeShare was another pasting service somehow that I have shared, and this jihadist group were sharing their media or their content there and sharing about the more updated platforms over there. This is Annaba. If you have worked on like jihadist groups, you know that it's like kind of used as their press or sharing media, this Annaba. So they have shared on pastetthis.to, that is kind of basically a pasting service. But it's not just limited to the pasting services. There are some clear websites that is used for sharing credentials. The Scripty is another website that I have found many credentials shared on that website. Uh, Another resource is Telegram. We have talked about Telegram and these unique features that they have. So I have noted that there are like invoice stealers shared, data breaches, data leaks, marketplaces, ransomware groups also have Telegram channels, some of them hacked RDPs, or I think in Russian dark web forum they call it Dedik or Dediki. So they also there are lots of Telegram channels sharing hacked remote desktops, hacked cPanels, web shells, and many other things, including combo lists and credentials shared. This is an example of two Telegram channel that was active maybe 1 year ago of sharing data breaches and data leaks. So whoever has joined their Telegram channel was able to access to numerous data breaches and data leaks. This is an example of a Telegram channel that was sharing credentials, as you can see. And this is another example of a Telegram channel that sharing hacked RDPs. So basically, they put the IP address port 3389, that is the port for accessing remote desktop, then the computer name, username, and the password. Of course, these credentials may be like not real credentials, but if it's like a real hack credential, then that could be problematic for that uh, entity or company. There are some Telegram channels also that sharing stressor or booter services that basically are the services that conducting DDoS attacks. So basically, we can be a member of those Telegram channels and assigning an IP address or website for them to conduct a DDoS attack, and they can like set it to be like 1 hour or more to be down.
So,
Uh,
really quick, Reza, explain that. So they just what offer payment, and then you pay per how long it gets attacked.
yeah, it depends on their services, but yeah, of course you can. I have found some of them that have free, could be like sample that they set, for example, 5 minutes of conducting DDoS, and they will show the check dash host link as a proof that okay, this website is down and this is the proof. But majority of them, yes, you need to pay for getting this service.
Right.
So Twitter or X also was for a while popular among threat actors to sharing their materials and starting the campaigns of like OP campaigns, operation campaigns. I have shared two Twitter accounts that were active in this sense formerly, and this is a screenshot of those Twitter accounts. That on the right side you will see that they conducted the campaign of OP Denmark. Was I think last year that they tried to concentrate on Denmark entities to target them. So they were updating about what happened in this sense.
Hmm.
Another resource that I find that could be used by these entities as a CTI resource is this defacement mirrors, like websites that threat actors or hacktivists mainly use to register the hacked or defaced websites. Zone Edge, Mirror Edge, as well as some other websites are among the sites that is used in this sense. So they can be useful in this sense that if you crawl the content of this website, you will be noted whether your website has been defaced or not. Because even though the website defacement is in many resources considered as a low level attack or threat, but it could be the beginning of a bigger scale attack. So
Yeah.
yeah. This is an example of a defaced website that, the defacer or hacktivists left their message over there. And mainly they have the political uh, reason for doing it, but this is still could be considered as a resource. Other resource that I have mentioned here is that clear websites that selling combo lists, bank notes, counterfeit money, fake documents. And if you know the like correct keyword, you can find still those websites and even on ClearNet. So you don't need to go to the using Tor browser or finding the Onion website. Even on Clear website, you can find those websites. This is an example of two of those websites that they are selling passports, fake banknotes, and they very clearly left their email address, phone number, and sample of the fake banknotes and passports. Autobuy Shop is another example of the good resources that companies need to consider. So basically, they are selling combo lists, they're selling other stuff. So basically, it's easily you are clicking on buying the product and you will be redirected to the payment page. And but if it's a digital product, it is going to be delivered to your email that you have provided while buying.
I think I have seen something in the past. It was on eBay. Those kind of things where people were selling things in the past and they auto buying those things. They were targeted, but it was I think 10 years ago, a long
Yeah,
time.
yeah, exactly. I would say maybe they are using more or less the same model. So it's like eBay
Yeah.
models or yeah. This, this is also there are some clear websites that selling the hacked cPanels, web shells or shells to get access to websites, and they're also working as the model of the this
Even
auto.
these are very old, if I'm not wrong. I mean, 5 years, or maybe even more than 8 years ago. It was used, but still using it
Yeah,
nowadays. Not
yeah,
so often, of
yeah,
course.
yeah. Still, this website is still kind of, I would say, popular in selling the web shell and cPanels.
What I have seen, most of the problems are because of the cPanel. That one is not secure, or even the cPanel has, for example, I don't know, other modules, and because of those, they can leverage from those kind of things by targeting a specific company which they are providing the web hosting, for example, or data centers, whatever they have.
Yeah, exactly. If they have access to the cPanel, then if it's like enough privilege,
Yeah,
then basically, yeah, they can do many things.
yeah, indeed.
Yeah. And the other thing is that like I would recommend to the researchers in this sense to checking the cybersecurity news from different resources, because sometimes that piece of news can be a pivot point for you to conduct further investigation. So I personally have a list of the popular and famous cybersecurity news websites and cybersecurity feeds, and checking them from time to time to be updated about what is happening. And in some cases, if I find it useful and interesting, I try to conduct further investigation. Doxing services also considered as a good resource for monitoring dark and deep web or data breach data leaks, like Duckspin.org or Data Secret. They are sometimes sharing interesting materials and should be also considered. But this part is like maybe majority of us knowing this dark web with Tor sites. So I would say this is also a very valuable resource to be also updated always about the most recent marketplaces, ransomware leak sites, and whatever website that is active on dark web that basically having the onion link. There are different resources and search engines for just searching the dark web or onion sites. So need to always check them. I personally always check ahmia.fi. That is a great, I would say, uh, onion size search engine, because they also have syntax, and the keyword searching is works very good. So need to consider those sites as well. Uh, for example, some of these search engine websites that focus on onion sites, they updating from time to time about the latest website that they have added to their resources. This is an example, a screenshot of a search engine that updating about the newly added resources to their search engine. What I highly recommend if someone plans to gain practical knowledge about this field is to always like defining for themselves some targets to do OSINT and investigation about. So I put some examples of what could be considered in this sense. Like if you like, you can conduct OSINT on threat actors on a dark web forum. Try to find as much as detail about that threat actor. It could be, I don't know, a threat actor that is moderator or a god member of a forum, or it's even administrator. I personally, whenever try to write something interesting on my LinkedIn, have tried to find the real identity of admin of a forum. So I have some posts about that as well. If you someone likes, you can check that. The other thing is that I would highly recommend to checking the platforms that are not very well known. For example, I put some like TamTam Chat, Rocket Chat, Matrix, because these are not very popular, but in this sense, it could lead you to some interesting findings that may be worth to mention them. I also shared an example of a TamTam Chat that I found, yeah, September 2023. Basically, they were using this for propaganda of the jihadist groups of their new uh, platforms. This is another example of, I would say, maybe a research area for those people who interested to finding the real IP address of the Onion website. I could find the IP address of Bohemia, then you can find further investigation that who is behind this IP, doing who is about it, like checking whether this IP is blacklisted, the scammer or whatever. So this could be an interesting part too. There are lots of onion websites. So if someone interested can also check those ones. Another aspect that I can say worth doing further investigation and research is GitHub resources. GitHub used by threat actors to sharing their materials or the softwares or malwares, better to say, uh, on those resources. Many of the stealers, I have found that they also have a GitHub repo that was public for a while, but maybe nowadays not accessible. So it is another resource for both investigation and research, and for like the companies that doing dark web and deep web monitoring, I would say. This is also another like areas of research that I have mentioned, like profiling the ransomware leak sites or profiling the dark web forums, who is the admin, who are the moderators, if anyone interested. Uh, Finding the IP address of the C or the C2 panels of the info stealers could be another area of for the ones who are interested. Like this is an example of the Aurora stealer that I was able to find their C2 panel. So basically they can access to the C2 panel. And this is an example of the profiling the club ransomware that I did, that they are using that proton mails, their ransom node and other stuff. So well that
Do
is
you see a lot of use, Reza, with Proton Mail with
sorry.
hiding? Do you see a lot of use with Proton Mail?
Yeah, I think this Proton Mail is widely used by this threat actors group because I think this brings a bit of anonymity and other features that this Proton Mail.
Yeah.
So I'll stop sharing.
I have a question. What are the most commonly used dark web monitoring tools in the industry? I know about Recorder Future mostly, that I have heard from people that are working in the field of CTI or ROSINT, and I think I have heard a few times about Dark Wall. If you have heard it about it, there are others than this, I suppose.
I think it depends on the company, but I personally use the dark feeds actually. So
So you're
and
not using tools, for example.
I personally just focus on manual
Ah,
searching.
okay, okay.
Yeah, as I said, like my focus on my master was on Google dorking, and I prefer this like manual things.
I
He's, he's,
see.
he's old school. Takes in the real data. Takes in all the data at the raw form. Brings it in. So there is a question here. Someone had about Blue Sky instead of bad actors, same way as Twitter X. Can you see that?
Actually, I've seen on at least breach forums that, if I'm not mistaken, they share Blue Sky, but I would say it's not very popularly used by the threat actors. I would say, well, this is my hypothesis that they try to use the platforms that basically many people know about it. Because if it's something new, the people who are less skilled in IT in general, then we'll face a lot of research and what is that, how to install. But if it's like Telegram, I would say, well, many people know Telegram, so they easily go to Telegram and find the threat actor.
But you mentioned that you are doing manual thing. How you know if a VP or a branch is targeted, for example, if you do manual thing, because sometimes it's hard to monitor, let's say, tens of websites. And if you don't have a tool, then might be, I don't know, a lot of work for you. I mean, instead of having more efficient information, let's say in less than a day, you might work 3 days for that to check all those forums or whatever you are checking platforms.
Yeah, of course, yeah, that you're right. But the thing is that, like, when it comes to the investigation,
Mhm.
Of course, it's better to have account on very popular and famous dark web forums, because I would say reposting is a popular thing among dark web forums. So if something surfaces on, for example, breach forums, then it will be resurfaced on other dark forums. So it's, in my opinion, it's better to have an account on breach forums, for example, and
Yeah,
checking it from time to time. And if you find something, then you will have it, because in some days it will be on other dark web forums. You don't need to have, if you have account on those forums as well, then that's better. But if you don't have, it's still okay. But the other thing is that I have noticed that tell these search engines, if you know how to ask them, then you will find a lot of things, especially when it comes to the cybercrime. In my opinion, Yandex is very useful.
yeah, I
This
know, I know.
this Russian
I,
search
and
engine.
I and I confirm, if you want to search for a Russian thing, yeah, indeed, you're right.
Exactly.
So we just had another question here come in. Other than LinkedIn, do you have any public repo for your collections and findings throughout the investigation analysis?
At the moment, not, but before we had this talk with Alex and Aaron that better to have it. So I will share publicly if I have
Yeah,
some.
and what I'll do is I'll tell everyone, definitely, I'll send out a note to everyone, connect with Reza, definitely connect with him, and then you could talk with him directly about providing this information. And I think LinkedIn, what we're using, is probably the best way to do that for now.
I might have I think, a last question. How reliable is the information collected from dark web sources? I mean, I have heard from some experts in the field that, for example, the threat actor was lying, for example, in order just to destroy the brand image of that company, and because over there nothing happened.
Yeah, actually, I think we were talking about this like reputation system
Yeah, yeah,
for the
yeah,
dark
correct.
web.
Yeah,
So if,
correct.
like, I would say, for example, admin of breach forums say something, then
Hmm.
it's highly reputable and could be very true.
I
But
see.
if it's like an actor that have zero reputation, then you should be suspicious. But the thing is that, like, sometimes I have noted even threat actors with very low reputation making claims that are very true. So, but in general, as a general rule, their reputation could be a key, like, actor in this sense.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for all the answer that you provided.
Thank you.
I know I have sometimes a lot of questions. Aaron knows,
No, thank you.
but when you speak with people in the with experience like yours, or with experts in the field, like your, for example, yeah, it's normal for me to put those kind of questions.
Yeah, yeah, thank you.
Well, I think we're almost on our time. And Reza, I'd like to thank you so much for taking the time today. And I think we learned a ton of information. But like I'll tell everybody, I'll send a note out to everybody who registered. Definitely connect with Reza on LinkedIn. If you have a question with him, if you're interested about any research, about any consulting he does, definitely reach out to him personally. He'd be more than happy to help you. If you have questions for me or connect with me or Alex, please do so. You
Please
know,
feel free,
like I
correct?
said,
Yeah.
we do this. We are all volunteers here, and we do this for to provide just good information to the cyber community. So again, everyone, thank you so much.
Also, don't forget to follow on our group, on our let's say on our YouTube, and also please visit our website cybersecurity.ai, and don't forget, of course, to follow our YouTube channel.
Yeah,
Everything will be provided through LinkedIn event, and you'll have all the details about even the YouTube video recorded in case if you want to watch again.
perfect. Yes,
Thank you.
awesome. Everyone, thank you so much for